Hello. Today I'm going to talk about this article that came out, I guess it came out a few days ago, 3, 4 days ago, from my buddy Dwarn. And he writes really, really good, very useful, and very interesting articles on LinkedIn in this group called Wired for Growth. And I definitely recommend subscribing to it. Gentleman certainly knows what he's talking about, and just really insightful and useful articles in this particular group. So definitely check it out. But one thing is I took a little difference of opinion with Dwarn in this particular article when he said that you can use the ChatGPT's projects or folders, however you want to refer to them, as basically your second brain. And the reason he makes that sentiment is because normally when you look at ChatGPT, you have a zillion different threads if you actually use it consistently. And all these threads have no connection to each other typically. And at the same time, you don't have them organized in any way. So even though they do have search capability, it still makes it very difficult over time to be able to get to specific things, specific projects, specific clients, things like that. And so I agree with his sentiment that having these folders and setting them up makes it much more useful and usable because now you can have a little bit of organization. Where I disagree with him is that's the end result basically. And the reason I disagree is because if you seriously start using their folders or projects, you're gonna immediately see that you're running out of room on the screen there because you can't scale it. I mean, you're not gonna sift through hundreds or even thousands of folders. It's just as unusable as thousands of threads. So the scalability is the problem with this approach. And the reason it's a problem is because they do not allow subfolders. So if they had subfolders, then you can create structures that would be conducive to what Duane was talking about. In that case, you can make it work. I mean, in that case, it would be just fine. But since they don't have subfolders, they only have one linear level of folders, to me, it's completely non-scalable. It's an improvement, but it's certainly not the solution. So inspired by all of this, I was just thinking about how would I go about making it so it's more useful in terms of organization and what can be done. And the solution I came up with is rather simple. It's not any kind of rocket science, but at the same time, it actually is something that would work. And there's actually two different levels to my solution. So solution number one is to use good old bookmarks. Okay, you can use bookmarks directly in your browser. Everybody has that. And you can set up folders and subfolders within your bookmarks, which makes it totally useful for the job at hand. Let me give you an example. Here's a little thing I put in called AI projects up at the top here. And if I click on it, I put in a couple of things just to show you. It says here marketing strategies for July. So if I click on marketing strategies for July, it opens ChatGPT, and there is my marketing strategies for July. Okay, as you can see, it says what's the best way, shows the information, all that. So because of the ability of having a direct link to any particular thread in ChatGPT, that means I can take this as a link, drop it into here as a bookmark, and have it available to be selectable from here. Okay, I have another one, something about Christmas. So it talks about Christmas, best places to shop for gifts during Christmas. And so it talks about different places, references, all kinds of stuff related to what needs to be done, local solutions, and so on and so forth. Obviously, your prompt will determine how good this is, but the point being that you can get instantly to it by just clicking on the button here in the bookmarks. And of course, you can organize them as you see fit. Now, the reason this is a solution, not the solution, which I'll explain in a second, but better solution that was talked about in the article, is I can set up folders within folders. So here I set up a folder called clients, and within that a folder called Jefferson Landscaping, which is one of my recent clients. And then for their marketing strategies, I just click here, and there it is, right there. Okay? Marketing strategies for small landscaping business. And so here's all the information and so on. So the beauty of this is I can set up as many of these levels as I want. As you can see, we're going now into 2 levels deep, but I can set up as many as I want. My understanding is they don't really have real limitation. I'm sure they must have some limitation, but they don't really have any kind of thing to worry about in terms of number of levels you can indent, which makes it perfect for what I'm talking about. And in terms of the actual bookmarks themselves, if you say, okay, do they have limitation of that? They do. My understanding is they have a limit of 120,000. Okay, 120,000 bookmarks is how many bookmarks you can have in Chrome, for example. And my guess is the other browsers are probably very similar. So that's a good solution to create a hierarchy for organizing your information. And the beauty of organizing it this way with these folders and subfolders and subfolders, and the setup for these folders and subfolders is totally based on your personal organizational skills and preferences. So it can easily be done by anybody, and the way you create new folders, for those who don't know, but it's pretty easy. The easiest way to set up folders and subfolders is by going to the Bookmarks Manager. And you can just right click on anything you have on the bookmarks bar, and there's an option called Bookmark Manager. So you go there, it opens it up right with where you were sitting in that folder, and you can see all your bookmarks up here on the left side here, all the structure of folders, subfolders, and so on. And all I have to do if I want to set up a new folder is click on top right here and select Add New Folder, and we can call this one, for example, Vendors. And now I have a folder called Vendors. And if in Vendors I want to set up another folder, I can just select it and then click up at the top again, select Add New Folder, and call it Restaurants. If I wanted restaurants to be inside the Vendors, all I have to do is carefully drag it there, and when it's highlighted, that's it, it's gone, because it's now in Vendors. See, inside Vendors I have restaurants now. So there's a couple of different ways to do this, but that's the basic idea of how you can easily create folders and then create actual bookmarks. And the bookmarks, the shortcut is Control-D. So if you're going to some website, let's go to a restaurant called Due Cucina, for example. Okay, so now I can hit Control-D, and it says where do you want me to put it, and default it shows the last one, which is Vendors. Let's say we wanted it there. If not, we can just select something else. So it's easy to do. And click on Done. That's it. So now if I go to AI Projects, Vendors, Restaurants, it put it in the same. It put it on the same level, but I want it to be in the restaurants. I'm just going to drag it there. So now it's inside it. Okay, so we have Vendors, Restaurants, this, and you can have as many of these obviously in this list as we want. This is how you can solve the problem with scaling in ChatGPT projects by simply using bookmarks in the browser and then dropping the specific threads directly in the right places, setting up folders, subfolders, as many levels as you see fit. I wouldn't go nuts and set up 50 different levels of folders, but I think you can pretty much get most of the stuff you need probably within, I would say, 5 to 10 max, probably 5 even, indentation levels of subfolders. If you wanted to go one step further, I mean, you could stop at that point and say, okay, it's good enough. Okay, let's go to the next step that I wanted to show you, and that's using Google Keep. Okay, so what can we do with Google Keep? We can make notes, and if you think about it, okay, why do we want to make notes? I mean, what does that have to do with the subject at hand here? And the reason is because of the fact that Google Keep Notes is unbelievably simple, number one. Number two, it's extremely powerful if you use it correctly. Unbelievably powerful. So let's take an example. If you look at a note, in each note you have a title and you have some sort of additional information. Okay, that's the basic concept. Very simple to set up, very simple to do. The beauty of it is if we jump back to ChatGPT, and let's say in ChatGPT we want to do a thread, we'll talk about, let's see, best ways to create emails for cold outreach. Let's say we wanted to have ChatGPT give us some ideas about that. Okay, again, we have the URL, so we just copy the URL. That's where our answer is. Okay, so then if we jump back to Google Keep, what we can do here is we can actually say cold email outreach, and here we can just simply paste the URL. Okay, so let's do a simple example first. Now we have this note which is available, and we can search for it We'll go into that a little bit in a second. But the main thing is that we have the link. And so if we open up the note later and we click on the link, it immediately drops us into ChatGPT and right to this thing, just like the bookmarks did before. So you might say, okay, what is the difference? I mean, if I can do it with bookmarks, why do I want to do it this way? Okay. The reason you want to do it this way is because this is far more powerful. Because what you can do here is you don't have to have one link. You can have as many links as you want. So if we have another ChatGPT session, let's do a start new chat, and we type in, let's say, sales techniques for real estate agents who are starting out. Let's say we have something like this, okay? So there we go, we got the sales technique again. We just grab the URL, copy it, and then we drop it into the same note. Remember, I'm putting it down in the same note, okay? So now, as you can imagine, if I clicked on this link and say open it, it would open ChatGPT and it would go right to that particular thread. Okay, and of course, keep in mind, if I keep asking additional questions, how is it different, let's say, than seasoned agents? Okay, so now we have the same thread, but now we have multiple things inside it. Okay, so it talks about this, it talks about that. And so if we go back to keep notes and go back to that same link, it's going to open a new tab. It's going to open ChatGPT, and it's going to give us both the original information and the new one here as well. So it's all part of the same thing. So if you have a session in ChatGPT and you keep talking, even if you have 20 different iterations or 100 iterations, it's in the same thread, it still be the same link. So when you open up Google Keep and you click on that link, it'll take you there. Okay? So what's the purpose of doing it this way? The purpose is that you can see, instead of having just one thing for a bookmark, and then you have a zillion bookmarks, you can now have a single note that has a bunch of things in there. Okay, and before, I know what you're thinking, like this is also going to get crazy because I can't remember all of this and I have this one title. Absolutely right. What you want to do is you want to put some text to go here. So this would be called outreach, email outreach. For example, this would be, let's call it real estate wisdom. And over here, we would have sales techniques for new and seasoned agents. Okay? So what we've done now is we've added some information so we know what these things are. Okay? Think of it as metadata. It's data that basically explains what the actual content is, so you can have as many of these things as you want. Okay? Again, keep in mind, this is just a single note. Do you have to put everything in single note? The answer is absolutely not. You wouldn't want to. Okay? So let me show you a little bit on the search part. So if I go to search and type in cold outreach, it immediately comes up with the note that we were looking at based on just this text. So whatever information you put in as your information, it'll be able to find it using that. Super useful, okay? And it's super fast, super capable, number one. Number two, what you can also do is on the left side here, you can see all these different, what they call labels, okay? So now what we can do is we can add a label. For example, let's say we create a label called real estate, and let's just create a label. So we put create a label, and we put in number two, let's say sales. Okay, so let's create a label called sales. So now we got these two labels created, okay? What does this mean? It means that we can go now on the left side, find something called sales. Let's say we get rid of the search and we go here and we say, click on sales. It'll immediately pop in this information because it has the label called sales. And as you can imagine, if we did the same with real estate, it would be the same thing. So not only can we search for information, okay, at the same time we can assign labels and multiple labels. So where you're thinking about the structure with bookmarks, when you have all these levels, indentations, which can potentially get pretty unwieldy after you have, yes, it gives you the capability, but at the same time, you still need to be able to manage it. This makes it much, much easier because as long as you set up these labels, and by the way, unfortunately, they have a limit of 50. So you can only do 50 different labels. But if you do it properly, if you think about it and set up the 50 properly, then it would be more than enough for everything you want to do. And the beauty, of course, here is this is not a label for this particular node. I can also have another node where I'm talking, for example, about, let's say I have something called, I don't know, just as an example, this is not a real deal, clients, for example, right? And over here, we'll put in client sales ideas, okay? So we have something called sales as a label. We have it here. And client sales ideas, and we don't have client sales ideas yet, so let's jump into ChatGPT, and actually no, let's go to Claude. Let's go to Claude, and let's put in, let's see, real estate sales ideas for good clients. Okay, so we go ahead and ask it, and it comes up with this thing, and we're good to go here, right? So what we do here is we again grab the URL, copy it, jump back into our node, and paste it right here. So we have our link. Okay, so now we have two nodes here with the label sales, even though they're not exactly related in any other way. Okay, so if we have information in different nodes dealing with different sales-oriented things, we can assign the label sales to them, and then we can look at all the nodes we have. Okay, just think about it. You're looking at all the different nodes that were associated with the concept of sales, and even a bigger benefit this way is, notice what I did last. Did I go to ChatGPT and get the answer? No, I went to Claude. And that's another big deal there, where now you're able to just segregate yourself from being stuck in a particular LLM, particular AI, and you can actually use different sources from different AIs, but the concept of the structure is the same. If I want to look at sales, I click on sales, and I see everything related to sales. If I want to jump to ChatGPT, you know, right here where it says sales techniques, it'll take me to sales techniques. But if I want to jump to Claude, for example, the client sales ideas, I click here, it'll jump me right into that. Okay? So this is the power of this thing. You know, like I say, you just need to kind of step back and think about it for a second, because it's extremely potent and powerful to be able to do this like that. You can put any text you want in these notes. You can have these notes be as big or as short as you want. You can have multiple links in the same note. You can have any amount of labels, not just one per node, but as many labels as you want in every single node if you want. So that's the basic concept, basic idea of how you can really scale this big time and have everything be super well organized in Keep Notes like that. By the way, Keep Notes is free to anybody who has a Google account. If you don't have a Google account, you can set one up for free, and it'll give you access to this application. It doesn't cost anything. It's an incredible app. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. Okay? So now I'm going to talk about a few extra things you can do with it. If you understand the basic concept, what else can we do with it? Well, we can put any text we want. So we already covered that. Then let's say we have a situation where we want to be able to segregate business from personal. So you might have all kinds of ChatGPT or Claude related things that are for personal nature, and then you have business stuff. How do you address that? Well, in Google Keep, you also have colors. So for example, you can say that anything that's going to be personal is going to be, let's do like greenish, and everything that's going to be business is going to be orange. So there is clear segregation between the two. Okay? And so if I add another node for business, and I'm going to say business for fun, whatever we're going to put in there, ideas for business networking meetings, and we go to our friend Claude here because he writes better, and we say give us a new chat, ideas for better business networking meetings. Okay, so I give it that, it gives me the thing, I grab the URL, I don't even have to read it right now, I can read it later obviously, and I grab the URL and drop the URL in here, boom. Okay, and of course this is business, so I'm going to go ahead and change it to be orange. Okay, so when you do search in Google Keep, you can type whatever text you want and it'll find it. You can also say, I want to look at labels, I want to search by labels, and then we'll look at the business strategy as a label. there's business strategy. Okay? So pretty simple. In addition to that, you can also do search by colors. So in this particular case, it shows you which colors have been used. So if I want to look at all my business stuff, I click on peach, and there are my 2 notes for peach, with of course their links and everything else in there. If I want to look for personal stuff, then there's my clients thing right there. Okay? So that's basic idea here in terms of how you can segregate things. And then when you do select this, and it'll show you all of your, let's say, personal notes and with their links. Another thing, just don't forget, just because I said you can put Claude and ChatGPT and so on as links, you can put links in these things for any program you want. You can have links that point to Word documents. You can have links that point to websites. You can put links that point to anything and everything. You can have email addresses. You can have regular addresses linked to maps. Everything is just a link. Okay? So you can have a situation where you have a mix of AI related links, and there also you have either notes or just links to other things as well. So you can have text, you can have links related to anything. Okay, it looks like I got rudely interrupted by Descript. For some reason I decided to cut off the rest of my video here. So I'll just quickly wrap up here because I was almost at the end anyway. There are many things, as you can see over here on the screen. I have another set of Google Keep Notes. Tons and tons of things you can do with it. You can do images, you can do text, you can do links. There's lots of things. I'm going to do a separate video just on that alone. But today we're talking about AI organization. And so just to reiterate again, if you want to have folders and subfolders, you can certainly adopt the infrastructure of browser Bookmarks to get that done. That's one way to do it. And then you can take it to the next level by using Google Keep Notes. And I will do a separate video about the potency of Google Keep Notes soon. Okay, it's going to be very detailed for people who have never used it. You'll be able to know exactly what to do and how to do it. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And until next time, I'm Oleg.